What is happening, Blades? And welcome back to the Blades Ramble. Huge day for our football club. Right, and first things first, I have to get something out of the way because I posted a tweet this morning, which I often do because I'm very active on the Twitter or X. And I said, when the news broke about Wilder coming back, because that's what we're here to talk about tonight, that we've got our club back. Now, that is genuinely how I feel. That is, I feel like this man will bring us all back together again. We might not survive. I'm not going to say that we definitely will survive under Chris Wilder, but I feel like we were all fracturing a little bit and we were all going off in different, and I don't blame Eki solely for that. However, it has been, I want to say spun, but I don't mean intentionally. I just think people have interpreted it that way, that it was a dig that Eki had sort of demolished all ownership of the club from the fans. I did feel separated from the club as a fan with Eki in charge. I'm not saying that's solely his fault by any means, but it certainly wasn't a dig at Eki. Now, I'm not going to be revisionist and I'm not going to change my stance on things now that he's gone because I think it'd be hypocritical to do so. I've wanted this to happen for some time. I'm going to try and not be smug about it because that doesn't help anybody. But to say I'm not happy about it would be a lie. So what I want to say, I do want to thank him for what he's done. Not that he'll be watching. And if he is, he's certainly not a fan, is he? Because obviously that's where I've been spinning in terms of I don't think he's capable at the level. But it's not a time to kick him. It's the time to say thank you for everything you've done. Without him getting us promoted, whether I think anybody else could have done that or not, without him getting us promoted, we are not recognisable as a club. Never mind if I don't think we're recognisable now in terms of the spirit and the fight and the determination. We're a Premier League club and he's led us there in very difficult circumstances. So that's not lost on me that in a way he saved our club too, because yes, we were under an embargo. He didn't have money to spend. He had very good players that he had to make sure got promoted because we gambled by keeping those players together, and he did it. He achieved his mission. He did it exactly as he was told to. And people will now have certainly and more than entitled to their opinion in terms of him not having the budget to spend. But I just wanted to sort of half retract what I was saying. If anybody took it as a dig at Eki, it wasn't intended to be a dig at Eki, what I said this morning. It certainly sparked a lot of conversation, and I don't just chuck things out there just to get the conversation going. It was more how excited I am by Wilder coming in rather than Eki going out. Chris Wilder, for me, and we'll go through what I know in a minute, but Wilder for me is exactly what this club needs at this time. We are on the floor in terms of confidence and belief. It's largely accepted, I think, by the majority of the fan base that we are going down. Not just that we're in a relegation scrap and we're fighting for our lives. It's largely accepted that we're going to have to start again next season in the Championship, and we've only played 14 games. There's genuine panic in some quarters that we're going to finish the season with the lowest ever points tally. And that was the trajectory under Heckingbottom. Whether that's his fault, whether that's because he hadn't had the money to spend, whatever it was, you cannot be happy with the way that things were going with our club. Whether you blame the board, the prince, the manager, the players, the fan channels, the people that tweet, whoever you blame, nobody was happy with the direction of the club. You cannot lose to the bottom team 5-0, who've not won a game at home all season. There's just no reasonable excuse that you can put for that. There isn't. We've spent more money than Luton. They have come up and done a better job. The money that has been spent, even if you think it's minimal, has not been spent effectively. And certainly, even if you think we've made some good purchases, which I do, I think Trusty, Hamer, Archer particularly are very good signings for us. They're still not pulling up any trees and not doing the business. And why are we not getting the most out of the players? And I think you do look to the manager to have at least part blame in that. So, thank you to Eki. What we know so far then, it's not been officially confirmed by the club, and this is a stickler for some people, and I understand why. But if it's not all been done officially, then why are the press leaking it? I'm only piecing together from people I've spoken to, but also bits in the media that are out there already. So I'm just going to let you know where we are with things. Eki has been sacked. he leaves alongside Stuart McCall and Mark Hudson. We heard nothing from Mark Hudson, and you wouldn't expect to hear from coaches and things of that nature, but he came in to be a defensive coach, and we have had the worst defensive record in recent memory. We're on track to have one of the worst defensive records ever in the Premier League. It has not worked, that appointment, for whatever reason. He has come under fire. He's not obviously faced the music, because you don't as a coach, I suppose, but it's been another appointment that hasn't worked. And again, we know whose choice that was. We know it just didn't work out for whatever reason. And it's a shame, because theoretically, a defensive coach to complement the midfield coach, which was Stuart McCall, assistant manager, and the striker coach, Jack Lester, and obviously we've already got a goalkeeper coach, that Matt Duke, that complements each other really well. You've then got one for each position. But it looks like Hecky stepping back off the training pitch a little bit and doing more of the managerial role in the Premier League, overseeing rather than hands-on, may have had an effect. We don't know. That's speculative. So we know that Ecky's leaving. Ecky has been sacked. We know that Stuart McCall leaves with him, which I think is a huge hole. A Sheffield United legend. Listen, he didn't play for us for an awful long time, but the impact he had as a player, the influence he brought into the dressing room in terms of being their pal, but also sort of being that knowledge that they needed, cool head. He's been a manager himself before. That were a big thing on Ecky's recruitment strategy of managers, of coaches. He wanted players. He wanted people who'd already been managers. And he got that. He got that with Lester, McCall, and Hudson. So Macca leaves as well. Hudson leaves. Jack Lester stays. Jack Lester stays as part of Chris Wilder's incoming management team. So from what we are led to believe, and I have every reason to believe this is right, Chris Wilder is coming in. It is all but done. Not been announced by the club yet as well, and obviously people have their own opinions on that. Chris Wilder is all but done. Alan Nill will be joining him as assistant manager. Matt Prestridge will come in. I don't know if he's like the fitness coach or the sports scientist. That sort of area is something that he covers. And Keith Andrews is coming in, the ex-Republic of Ireland midfielder, played for Blackburn, was recently assistant manager to the Irish national team. Just another fresh injection into the management team, which I think is good, and I really like that. So that's what's going to be happening moving forward. And look, people have got their opinions on Wilder, and I could not believe. And listen, Twitter is a very small minority of the fan base, but I take it for its worth in terms of it still represents a segment of our fan base who are vocal and want to, have their voices heard, which is what it's all about. We're all here to give opinions. All I'm doing tonight is giving my opinion. Some people will agree, some will not. I couldn't believe the amount of people that were like, never Wilder. I'm not going back if Wilder's in charge. So I understand the reasoning behind people being upset with Chris Wilder's behaviour previously. I've heard sorry to just go off on a tangent, but somebody over the last couple of days, I didn't retweet it because there were that many retweets of it. I thought it were ridiculous. I saw John Shaw and View, Ingrid Nick, Hal, a few others retweeting it saying, what is this all about? Somebody had said, I was never a fan of Wilder anyway. What? We've all been a fan of Wilder. You can't be a blade if you've never at any point been a fan of Wilder. That's ridiculous. But a lot of people, I understand why a lot of people are upset with the way it ended. And there's a few things I'd push back on with that, because first of all, none of us really understand what went off. There was a non-disclosure agreement, an NDA was signed where both parties, being the Prince and Wilder, I believe instigated by the club, was made to sign an agreement where you could not discuss what went off. There's been people talking about the payout that he took and why is he taking out of the club. I would want a payoff if I was being sacked or moved on, or it was becoming untenable to continue the relationship. That's just my opinion. The real reason that people aren't happy about it is because it's been such a chest-beating blade, and I have reason to believe he even has a Sheffield United tattoo on his body somewhere. But listen, that's for him to confirm or deny. So, and that doesn't make you any more of a blade than anybody else. But nobody can, to me, can question this man's feeling for our club. And then that's contrasted by the way he left, because people are saying you would never walk out on your club. You always said you go out the front door. You went out the back door. You sort of went under a cloud. Then you rinsed the club for money, all this sort of thing. And then it doesn't help the fact that it's compounded that he hasn't really been successful in his jobs since United. Middlesbrough, notoriously difficult club to go and get success in. You're usually well backed, but it's not worked for anybody that's gone in there. I know Carrick makes a good fist of it, which I think Wilder set the table for, but he's still not got promoted out of the Championship. Nobody has in however many years. Watford is an absolute basket case of a club which everybody knows about. So I think there are mitigating circumstances there. But sometimes a club and a manager just fit. Absolutely fit. And what do we need at the moment? What do we need more than anything? And it is motivation. The players, the club is absolutely on the floor. Everybody's written us off. I've seen sort of some pushback from local media where they're saying it's ridiculous that some fans are comparing Hecky's football to the Adkins era. I agree. I don't think it's been anywhere near as bad. I think over the last few games, it's been very roll over and have your bellies tickled. But you can't say the success that Hecky's brought us is anywhere near the levels of low that the club was at under Adkins. However, Wilder comes in now, like he did back then, at a time when the club feels slightly broken, in my eyes. The fan base is split, no matter what you say. I'll come to the comments in a minute, but I'd be surprised if there were some people saying they didn't want Wilder. And again, this is a forum for people's opinions, as long as we're respectful about it. But there's nobody better that fits our club for me at the moment. And that's my genuine, honest opinion about it. I don't think he's ever... I think in the Premier League, he sometimes struggles to judge the level in terms of the transfers that he makes. Like Ollie McBurney, 20 million quid. I would still argue that was overpaying for Ollie McBurney. It's certainly proven to be since. 20 odd million, rumoured to be up to 23 for Brewster. I'm not sure we hit all those milestones, but Brewster is, never fit, is he? Let's be right. Sander Berger, we'd have made decent money on Sander Berger if we'd have been on top of the contract situation. So they weren't all busts, but Wilder is best when he is working with players, and I don't mean to sound disrespectful when I say it like this, but I don't mean of limited ability. I mean, in comparison to what we're working against, we are underdogs, aren't we? And we have to maximise everything we can out of every player. I am absolutely salivating at the thought of Chris Wilder getting hold of a Gus Hamer. Can you imagine what he will turn Gus Hamer into in terms of... We just need passion and determination and drive back in these players, and he brings that in abundance. We heard rumours from Eki on his last few interviews that players hadn't yet gelled in this dressing room and didn't quite know yet what it was like to be a Sheffield United player and play for our club. And you could tell that in performances. We look so disjointed. But if there's anybody that can bring us closer together, it's Wilder. And if you have any sort of shortcomings about what he's like in the transfer market with a big budget, well, don't worry about that because we haven't got it to blow. But I think it will certainly look to do some ins and outs, and we can come to that as well. But I cannot tell you how excited it feels. Like I tweeted, and as I say, I didn't mean it to be a negative against Eki, but I feel like we've got our club back. I feel like we've got somebody now at the helm who understands what it's like to be a fan. I retweeted, and I talked about it on the last live. I retweeted, I think it was Bradley Davis, and I want to give it proper credit, pal, because you were one that I retweeted it from. But it's a Wilder interview talking about how performances have been poor from the players, and he's not going to sugarcoat it, and he calls it bullshit at one time. I'm not going to stand here and say we've done well. We've been listening to the last 3 or 4 weeks about running stats, and, the running stats are good, and we knew that they were going to be an athletic team, and we can expect to get beat by better sides in this league. Well, no, we might expect, they're going to be better than us, but at least turn up and give it a go. That's all we ask. I don't think it's a lot to ask to say that we get minimum effort of giving everything for the shirt, because we're not going to be those high ticket performers where we bring players in for 30, 40 million quid. We've got to work with what we've got. And I think he is the absolute key. And what I'm told is he is absolutely buzzing at the opportunity to come back in, sink his teeth back into this side. He thinks he can improve us. And he genuinely thinks, and I know, listen, he's got to say this to a degree, but, I think he'd be honest with us in terms of, well, we know how he works, don't we? He genuinely thinks he can save us from relegation. Now, at the moment, that seems a real stretch. However, on paper, we've got 24 games to play, 24 games left, and with 4 points, 5 points with goal difference, away from safety. You can take Everton out of the equation, and it's a longer gap to Bournemouth, who look like themselves they're starting to pull away. We need to turn this around quickly. But from what I understand, and again, it's just things I hear, he will be in the dugout against Liverpool. Can you imagine? Can you imagine if he does a presser tomorrow? If he's unveiled before the game tomorrow, I think he can turn a lot of people around just in his first press conference, because he will galvanise the club again. And it might take some of you a while to get back on board, but listen, wouldn't 3 points help? Listen, it's Liverpool. I'm not saying we're going to beat Liverpool. That'd be a ridiculous thing to come out there and say. He can only work with the tools he's given. So, but wow, it's just unbelievable, isn't it? I cannot hide how pleased I am. So I'm going to jump into some of your comments and just see what you think, because this is an open forum, as I say, and we can discuss little bits that you're not sure on or what you think. Great points from the pinch, says Simon. I'll take your word for that, pal. Getting the next Wilder. Luke Williams is an interesting shout. Luke Williams isn't getting a sniff, mate. My view, we've not to lose with Wilder. If it doesn't work, then we go for an up-and-coming manager. Schumacher used to slow, but Wilder is available, and we all want it to work. We certainly do, mate. It's all about, listen, people went for me because I were asking for Hecky out, and they saw that as I should be backing the club and backing the manager. I think the club has more than backed the manager. And I tried, and I wasn't very good at it, if I'm honest. But now Wilder's in charge. Those that were anti-Wilder have to try and get on this train as well, don't they? He's going to have a relegation on his CV, most likely, mate. Let's be honest, most likely. He's getting well paid for it. If he then gets promotion again, it'll cancel the relegation, says Joe. Yeah, can see. Hopefully you give Eki the credit he deserves. Recent performances have been dreadful and getting worse. Ultimately, he's done a fantastic job for our club. Both things can be true. Absolutely right. And I hope you feel like I have done there. Jimmy's heading is far from clear. That being Wilder in. I hope that clarifies it for you, pal. Maybe it's just wishful thinking. And then it's Guardian are now reporting Wilder in too. So, okay, good stuff. All I can ask of Wilder is that we go down fighting till the end, kick some ass in the dressing room, get them playing with some fight and passion, get behind the team on Wednesday. Absolutely right. That's all we want, innit? Some pride back in. I spoke to my dad this morning, and I'm saying it looks like it's happening. And he's saying, look, I don't expect us to survive. I just want us to have some pride back in the shirt. That's all I want. And that's all we need, isn't it? I'm a bit conflicted. I hope it works out. Ultimately, what happens on the pitch will matter, I suppose. I mean, the wait and see camp. That's fine, Andy. That's all you need to be, mate, innit? We can just hope for the best, can't we? Of course, I like Eki. Wish him all the best and thank him for his efforts, but we did need to try something else. I think that's fair. Mate. He's one of our own, Chrissy. We'll need to put the record straight. His last season was in the wake of COVID. If we go down, we'll have done it with the passion of the shirt. Absolutely right. One thing for certain, Jimmy, it ain't going to be boring under Wilder. See you Wednesday at Triple Point. You certainly will, pal. You certainly will. Eki's press conference for today is cancelled. It certainly is. League One Blades. Are we serious? Are we crazy? Is that what you're going for? Jimmy, as I said, Wilder till the end of the season, but we'll review it and then let's hope the Brentford game he gets them playing like a Blades team with some pride and fire in their bellies. From what I understand, it's an 18-month deal. There may be a year's option in the club's favour with that. I know that was being talked about at one stage, but whether that's happening or not, I'm not entirely sure. And he'll be in dugout for Liverpool, from what I understand, which is brilliant. He's nearly coming too. Yes, I believe so. The Messiah has returned, says Joe. Got to back him now, even if you don't like the appointment. Some of the best times under Wilder before. Credit to Eki for what he's done in the club. Absolutely right. First question Wilder and Prince must be asked is what has changed since last time? What are they going to do differently to ensure Blades are successful? I fear this is a backward step. Some will. I understand that. The Wilderness years. Unbelievable. All the best to Eki. Thanks for the last 2 seasons. Time now for Wilder to finish his story with the Blades. That's it, isn't it? It's a redemption arc for me. He should never have to buy a drink in the red half of Sheffield for the rest of his life for what he did for this club. He's the most successful manager in recent history, and I put him up there with Harry Bassett in my eyes in terms of what I've witnessed as a Blade. I think he's our best manager that we've had, Chris Wilder. But the way he left under a bit of a cloud has tarnished it for a lot of Blades, not just some, a lot of Blades that are really sort of, I think it's more hurt towards him and feeling let down. So maybe, I'm not so sure he will come out and sort of say this, you know, I need to put it right or whatever it might be, but he'll certainly be feeling that. Hi, Jimmy. Thanks to Eki for a good 2 years, but we now need a change. Let's hope we can turn this team with no confidence and no commitment around. Fingers crossed it begins on Wednesday. Absolutely, Kev. Buzzing says, Lee, me too, pal. Champions League spot definitely now, says Mark. Most fans have got what they wish for. Let's see what happens now. For the sake of the club, upwards and onwards, up the Blades. Absolutely right, pal. Tim, fantastic job, Eki, and all the best. Love Chris Wilder, and all we want is pride in our club. That's right, we do. David Webster, the single most negative man. I see you commenting, and I appreciate your contribution, David, but you are always so negative, and that's your prerogative. Wilder out, ludicrous appointment, a serial failure and deeply unpleasant individual. Do you know him? I didn't know whether you knew him or not. No other club in the Premier League or even the Championship would have appointed him. It's shamefully embarrassing. I'm sorry about that. I'm sorry you feel like that. And hopefully you can get on board as things progress. Evening, Jimmy, says Ruben. Evening, pal. Hope you're well. Wish Eki all the best. We'll always be welcome back at the lane after everything he's done for the club. We now get behind Super Chris, whatever people think of the appointment, up the Blades. Absolutely right. I think getting Wilder is a decision that comes more from the heart as opposed to from the head. That's fair, Aaron. It's quite impulsive. And I would prefer to get a manager that can provide a novel approach. I don't think it's impulsive. I know what you're saying in terms of it's probably is it an easy decision, maybe? It's not impulsive. It's been considered for a while, from what I understand. Although Wilder's not 100% my choice, it will get my 100% support until Nick Montgomery takes over. That's all we need, mate. That's all we need. We need the fans to get behind the appointment, don't we? 100%. Let's get back together again. John, evening, pal. First time in months I've woke up and been proud to be a Blade. All aboard with the Wilder train. Absolutely right, pal. Man Mountain says, Wilder will have learned from previous mistakes. Felt like the effort levels of the players are gone. New belief, new start. That feeling of despair has subsided. Just wish this was 2 games ago. Absolutely right. Listen, it'd have been Newcastle for me. You've all seen it. When you do things like this, it's all on record, isn't it? That I lost my head after Newcastle. I thought it's unacceptable for our club to do that. David's back. I'm done with my club after 60 years. A season ticket holder and shareholder. My seat will be empty while this bigoted lower-level journeyman is in charge. Anybody wants a ticket? David's is going. Being uplifted today. Blade's job to be finished. Let's get it done, Chrissy. Absolutely right. Feel for Eki, but after Saturday, there was no other option to let him go. Is Wilder the answer? Yeah, I'll get the players fired up, and would never let their standards drop. Time will tell. Cheers, Eki. Absolutely right, Bryson. Good shout. Eki had to go, says Stu. We offered nothing going forward. It was a dreadful, tacticless, clueless, and passionless from Eki. To be honest, even last season, it became an anticlimax getting promoted because we weren't great most of the season. We limped over the line, didn't we? Listen, 91 points is nothing to be sniffed at. And there's a big part of it that wants to defend Eki, but I agree with you, Stu. I don't think we were great last season. We got 91 points, which sounds ridiculous, but I think it were a very poor league last year. So Charles Clegg, best of luck to CW, but let's not get too giddy. The main problem still remains at our club, and no one will succeed under his lack of leadership. Okay, thanks for everything you've done, Eki, says Ian, but since the Newcastle game, we've been absolutely dreadful. So it's time for a change. In comes Wilder, who has unfinished business. I love that. I love that sort of mentality about it. And for Eki to call on Norwood and Fleck against Burnley was asking to be sacked. Dreadful selection of midfield. Unbelievable, that. Absolutely unbelievable. I think that was nailing his coffin. Fleck was so off the pace. Hopefully gets the best out of Hamer and knows how to feed Archer sort that torrid defence out. Something we've always been under Wilder. And before that as well, he's solid defensively. We've talked about it, haven't we? I cannot believe how bad our defence are this year. There's so much work to do in terms of getting the existing players playing properly. But also, what can we do? What can we, looking towards January, particularly if we're having a go at staying up, what can we do? We need to feed Archer 100%. Yes, we do. Yes, we do. I tend to agree with everything Jimmy says. Great man. Top man. Cheers, pal. Excuse me. David Vinter. Let's hope CW changes the attitude of the players. I know we were giving them a stick at Burnley, but they should always acknowledge the fans at the end. They're happy to acknowledge them when going well. Look, stuff like that, they get told under Wilder, you go and you thank those fans for travelling. They have, supported you all season. Show them the respect. We will be closer together because of Chris Wilder. I've no doubt about it. I was on the Keep Ecky train until Bournemouth. Then on Saturday, I fully jumped off. I have the utmost respect for the guy, but I thought we needed the change. Absolutely right. Still no announcement, although Ecky and McCaw were seen leaving the training ground much earlier than normal, saying goodbye, and the presser for the Liverpool build-up was cancelled. Yeah, I think somebody posted in our Ramble group chat for the Ramblers that the chefs from Sheffield United had announced that they were saying goodbye to 3 gents, and there were photos of Ecky, McCall, and Mark Hudson. It's pretty much confirming it. Hi, Jimmy. I hope you're well, pal. So why are we waiting this long with one of the biggest games coming up and no news? He'll be in place, mate. Listen, I can't speak for how quickly the club move on things. I've been a critic of their communication for a long time, so I'm with you there. Whoever takes over still won't be given any money in January to bolster the team. Just get Wes overlapping. Up the blades. Well, good luck, Ecky. I, for one, think you deserve better, but Chris Wilder's in, and I will support him all the way. Not sure he's right choice, but good luck to him. Up the blades, says Dean. Has he officially gone yet? Not officially, but the Ramble can confirm it for you. Evening, Jimmy. Finally caught you live for the first time. Sounds Jace Ace. Nice one, pal. Welcome. Evening, Jimmy. You have a bad echo on sound. Oh, I hope not. Sorry, pal. Not much I can do about it at the minute, I'm afraid. We'll get our club back when Abdullah goes, says Sir Charles Clegg, Mr. Positive. He's trying to go. We'll get a chance to talk to him next month about it, won't we? Yeah. Watch this space. I don't think there's anything imminent, to be honest. You've took some stick today, pal. I have. FM, end of the day, we all want Blades to win. Ecky's time's run its course. Welcome home, Sir Chris. That's what happens, JD, unfortunately, mate, when you put your opinion out there. Some people don't like it. There's idiots in every fan base, isn't there? And I don't mind other people having a different opinion. That's what it's all about. It's just how you voice it, isn't it? Can't expect Wilder to keep us up, but defo bring some fight back to the team and some passion again. Absolutely right. We've got our club back, Jimmy, Chrissy Wilder, and Alan Neil. Absolutely buzzing. Between Sheffield United away, Shore and View and Blades Ramble, the Prince has heard the supporters loud and clear. Come on, you Blades. He definitely listens. I know for a fact he listens and he watches. So what you're saying is taken on board. So I thank you all for contributing because it is picked up by the club. Really surprised me this appointment as I thought we'd get away from the 3-5-2. I didn't tactics, but anyone's better than what we've got at the moment. I'll give him the benefit of the doubt for now until the end of the season at least. That's fair play, Danny. Fair play. I understand some are sceptical. Onwards and upwards, we are Blades, says Craig. Bye, Paul. Thanks for the memories. You've, however, turned our club into an embarrassment. I think we were going that way, weren't we? We're certainly going that way. The gaffer is home. No money to spend and 22 players out of contract. Time to overlap on the rebuild. Look, we're going to be fine financially. Listen, we're never going to be flush as a football club. Certainly not under this ownership. But we are going to be okay. So a rebuild under Chris Wilder is very exciting for me. Thanks and all the best, Ecky. Glad Wilder's back. Can't see this squad surviving this season, but let's get some pride back. I think that's the minimum, isn't it? Is Wilder officially in then? Dear Santa, all I want for Christmas is Cooper and Johansson. We have our Messiah back. I don't think we'll get both keepers, unless you meant Steve Cooper. If so, you're out of luck. Johansson would be great. Either of those. I love Michael Cooper. He'd be my number one shout, to be honest. Is he actually gone yet? Why is there no statement of Ecky going yet? It seems so lackluster behind the scenes. There is just a few legalities to sort from what I understand and what we're being told. Thanks for everything you've done, Eki, but we need to change and a re-injection of pride and confidence in the players. I liked Eki, but he had to go. Our club took a step back today with Wilder. Eki did a fantastic job, but it was a step too far. It was, I agree. Our aim, first and foremost, says Bill, now has to be to beat that Derby record. If we get to 12 points and start thinking about staying up. Yeah, that's right. Really sorry, but I'm extremely cautious about Wilder. Don't be sorry, Chris. You're more than entitled to it. I just think we've got to try and be a bit more open-minded about it, haven't we? Can't wait to see what system Wilder uses, says Gumbo. I think there's an element of sarcasm there. We've built this squad around a 3-5-2, and there's a lot of players that are still here from Wilder's time. So I'm quite excited to see it again, to be honest. Bit of Wilder versus Klopp for the first game back. Classic Premier League. Oh, yeah, I forgot about that bit of needle. Be careful what you wish for, Jimmy, says Chris. Eki has to go. His voice is just white noise in that dressing room. At least he hasn't dragged it out as long as Wilder did. Well, he hasn't gone yet, has he, to be fair, but I know what you're saying. Finally got our club back, Jimmy. Got to thank Eki for all he's done for us. Absolutely right. Now is the right time to change. The team needs a new direction and passion, and Chris Wilder will give us that. I'm absolutely buzzing about this. So Charles Clegg rattling on. Sorry, pal, but it's the same rhetoric in it all the time. We know how you feel. Wilder will use a way to rebuild his career. Will use us as a way to rebuild his career. Win-win for him. He'll be off somewhere else once we go down. He's not going to get a better opportunity if he takes us down, I don't think. He's not going to stay in the Premier League, is he? We're his club. I understand what you're saying, and I'm not saying he won't see this as a benefit to him also, but that's the same with every managerial appointment. So I know what you're saying, Connor, but if he ends up getting a better job than Sheffield United, it'll be because he's kept us up, and I'm happy with that. I'm all right. Listen, I won't want to see him go if that's the case, but he's certainly here to rebuild his career. Absolutely right, he is, and I hope he does, because if he does, then he's done a good job with us, hasn't he? I never used to bet against Sheffield United on a Saturday, but now I seem to be doing it every time we played. But hopefully things will be going in the right direction. Up the Blades, up the Ramble. Hope you're well, Jimmy. I'm good, thank you, pal. I hope you're well too. He had it hard, but he didn't help himself when he needed calm and bravery. Good luck with the future, Eki. Welcome home, Chrissy. Let's finish this journey with one of our own. Love it. All aboard the Wilder train. Bring back dedication, commitment, ambition, and fight, says John. Spot on. Shame about McQuall? Shame about McQuall, as I quite like him. Me too, Bruno. I love Stuart McCall. My dad used to work with Stuart McCall way back when, so we've got a bit of an affinity to him. And it is a shame. Sometimes you can't just keep people there because they're nice people, or even good coaches, because if say Alan Nill does the same job as Macca, or I assume Keith Andrews might be the one doing the midfield coaching, etc., you can't keep the same bodies around just for the sake of it, can you? So I get it, but it's a shame. You think Chris Wilder is the right choice? Snower? Noah. Are you new? Are you new to the channel? Yes, I certainly do. I hope Hecky and McCall are associated with the club in some way. I don't think they will be, pal. Not in the immediate future anyway, but they're certainly welcome back at the lane. Send Thomas back and emergency loan Ramsdale. Oh, I don't think we'll get Ramsdale. Ramsdale refused to play for us. There's a lot. I'd say what, there might be some Blades that aren't keen on Wilder coming back, but there's a lot more that don't want Ramsdale. Imagine both him and Wilder having a point to prove. That's not going to happen. Having said that, I do think Thomas will go back. I think McAtee potentially will go back. Depends how he starts off under Wilder. If Wilder sees him as a pivotal part of the team, then he'll stay. But I'm thinking about he's not really a wheeler dealer, but what he can do on a budget, Chris Wilder, he will need to get some bodies out to get bodies in, because we're at not just the zero cash situation, but we're at maximum capacity for squad size. He was the one that sent Max Lowe out on loan and tried to sell him. So he were on transfer list under Wilder. So will he fancy him now? Having said that, he tried putting Paul Coots on transfer list when he first came to the club, and then Coots changed his mind. So that's not a given that he'll want Lowe out. Will John Fleck be seen as past his prime? Will he try and get John Fleck out in January? Will he agree with us that it wasn't a really good contract renewal? Can he get him out of the club? There's loads of sort of little connotations that we need to think about, but that frees up money in the budget and space in the squad for improvements. I'm just throwing this one out there, and this is speculative. There's no links to any players, no nothing. But, and people will scoff at this, it's just a speculative shout. Chris Wilder was that close to bringing Jesse Lingard in when we were in Premier League last time, and he's still available. There's been worse ideas, aren't there? There's been worse ideas. Maybe send McAtee back so we get a loan and bring Jesse Lingard in instead on a free, so we free up another loan spot and have a Jesse Lingard in the squad. What about that? That's a decent shout, isn't it, for a start? As fans, no matter how we think about him, we all need to fully get behind Wilder, says Tom. Absolutely right, we do. Who is this Chris Wilder everyone's talking about? And can he play a left wing back, says Scotty? Good shout. Got to bring Billy back now to get some leadership in the dressing room until the end of the season. See, that might be listen, I hope he don't come back as a player. Love Billy Sharp for everything he's done for the club, but he could. He could. He made Billy Sharp captain of the club, didn't he, Wilder? I don't think he will, if I'm honest. He said in the Allardyce interview, didn't he, that when Celtic were in for him, Wilder said, look, you're only going to be a bit part player in the Premier League now. And that was when he was 34, 35. He's now, 38? I don't see it. I just feel a lot better about Wilder if it didn't feel like everyone else was getting carried away with themselves. Me? You're right, Bill. I can't help it, mate. We might end this December run with no points. We might. But listen, if we end with no points, but we've gone down swinging every game, it doesn't hurt as bad, does it? Nils back will be all right without Macca. Yeah, I think so. Good evening, Jimmy. Evening, Jeff. Massive thanks to Eki, but it's time to go. Welcome back, Chris. If we do go down there, there will be spirit and fight up the blades. And Father Christmas is coming. Where is the official statement? Not seen out yet. It's not been released from what I understand. Let me just have a double check. Just heard some more news that I can't really divulge at the minute. Shout out to Johnny. Hope Wilder's a changed man, as he says on the internet. I hope they get it together fast and get us turned around. I'd say I'm a changed man if I wanted a job. That's me being cynical, but look, Chris Wilder is a stubborn Yorkshireman who will push the board, and that's what we want. We want people pushing up and pushing down. He wants what's best for the club, as do we. I love it. I love it. Just to be clear, this is the same Wilder that walked 20 games after he should have. Yes, Chris, it is the same Wilder that walked. It is. No two ways about it. But we don't know what happened there, do we? We still don't know. We've only got one side of that story. And we may only ever get one side of that story. Sounds like Mike Ashley's in talks with the Prince. Not sure how true it is. Neither me neither, Tazzy. Not heard anything about it. He's been linked before, Antti, but I've not heard anything recently. Oh, we get less injured players now under Wilder. Not my choice, but we'll see. I says you've got your man. I have. Not just mine. I think there's a lot of people that are really pleased with this appointment, to be honest. And I think there are some that are quite against it. Hi, Jimmy. Evening, Craig, pal. Hope you're okay, mate. I am, thank you. Hope you are too. Do you think we should give Eki a backroom job? I don't think he'd take it, mate. I think when you've been a number one in the Premier League, I'm not saying he wouldn't after maybe a little break and going away or doing a different job, and if it don't work out there, he might come back as a backroom squad man. But I think after you've been a number one in the Premier League and had your own team, as in your management team and things like that, it's difficult, isn't it? First job, says Rob, and he's bang on, is give George the captain's armband. I think he might do that. I think there's half a chance that happens because he sees, a lot of the time, I think he sees what we see because he's a fan, first and foremost, and a brilliant manager. And yes, I did say that. All he can do is win back the dressing room. This season is too far gone. We'll see, won't we? And I'm not dismissing your comment because you're probably right. But I think the dressing room is the key. Getting the players to gel and click again is the absolute key to this. For all my reservations, it'll be class when he nuts Klopp straight in the schnoz on Wednesday night. The other thing as well that I saw online that I've posted the YouTube music video for Comeback Kid. Can you imagine if Comeback Kid starts playing again on Wednesday night? That was our walkout music when Wilder were in charge. Just reap what you sow. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Nice to see League One coaching staff gone. Oh, Tazzy, that's harsh. S says it's a Blades tattoo on his ankle. I may have heard similar. I may have heard very similar. In fact, did my dad reveal it on Ramble? I think he might have done, actually. Classic Blades takes all the bloody day to sack a manager. I believe Eki owns all the balls and wants an extra 50 quid from you. Joke. There might be something in Eki being a little bit tricky. Eki couldn't motivate an alcoholic to have a drink at the moment. I am. Be interesting to see what the transfer policy will be next season and who's going to oversee it. It will. All to be worked out. I'm sure it's already been spoken about. Eki throwing players under the bus needs to happen at the Newcastle game. He sugarcoated everything. Can't wait for Chris. Bin the mini league nonsense. We're out there on merit. Absolutely right. Bin the mini league nonsense. We were in a mini league. There's no doubt about it. I think there was a league of 4. We are at the minute adrift of it, and the aim is to get that league back up and running again. So we pull other teams back into it. Maybe make it a league of 5 or 6, but it's looking like a long shot at the minute. And you're right, he sugarcoated everything about the team, hasn't he? He's protected them all the way, and they didn't need that. I think they needed chastising at times because the players have not been good enough either. And if they see you as a soft touch, it's not good. Sign young talents on long contracts should be the only business we do. I think there will be a strategy around that. It makes sense for me. Like a Victor Johansson might be, 25, 26 now, but as a goalkeeper, he's not even in his prime. Give him a 4 or 5 year deal. That's goalkeeper sorted, isn't it? It's a no-brainer, really. Plus one option for the club and all that sort of stuff. Is he here for Liverpool? Yes, he is, pal, from what I understand. Can't wait for CW to headbutt Abdullah only months away. Ridiculous, Sir Charles. Ridiculous. No one else anywhere near Wilder for us. Absolutely. Aiming to be Lundstrom 2.0. More than just a season, though, for me. Demanded 4 million from our club. Now we want him back. Lol. He wanted paying off at contracts that we were going to be leaving. So I'm not going to go back and forth and argue about it. But if I were being sacked, and I know there's a difference between what happened with him and being sacked, and we don't know the full story, so there's no point going into it. But I'm not going to walk away for no if you're telling me I've got to leave. I bet he walks again at end of season. Maybe Gumbo. We don't know, mate. We don't know how it's going to go. We just know how we hope it's going to go, don't we? Does he come in before Liverpool, Jimmy? Your thoughts? Yes, pal. Yes, I think he does, Gaz. Not Mark Hudson. Definitely going down now. Not Mark Hudson. Don't worry, Craig. He earned us a hell of a lot more than 4 million over the years, though. Well said and very true. Just woke up in Oz to this fantastic news. Congratulations, Johnny. We're back. Luke Thomas will be sent back. I agree. I think he will. So will Larucci. Do feel sorry for the kid, but who turned a space cadet into a footballer. Remember the Kevin Keegan at Newcastle in the second time around, how that ended. I also remember Eddie Howe going back to Bournemouth and getting him promoted to the Premier League and keeping him there for a long time. I remember Roy Hodgson coming back in when Crystal Palace were in relegation trouble and saving them as well and doing a decent job of steadying that ship again now. So there's pros and cons. There's examples you can give that don't work and examples that you can give that clearly do. Evening, Andu. I'm going to go Andy and then Andrew, so it came out Andu, but evening, pal. Not going to go on about Eki. The period of time is over. The team needs bringing together. We drive with drive and motivation. The tactics will improve. If we go down fighting. That's all we want. We want the spirit back at the club. And can you imagine if there's half a chance? Feels like we just got promoted again. It does feel like, honestly, listen, it's not just about the character of the man in terms of who's coming in. But he won't just galvanise the players. He will get the fans believing again. He is one of us. I cannot stress enough how good this is going to. Listen, the results on the pitch will ultimately dictate if this is a success or not. But even for this short period of time, this little honeymoon period that we can acknowledge that it's going to be, I just enjoy it. Try and enjoy it if you can, because I'm going to love it. I think the 18-month deal just says to me the board are trying to recapture lightning in a bottle. I can forgive them for wanting to do that. Who wouldn't? But what are the odds of it actually working? Depends what you class as lightning in a bottle, pal. If you think trying but ultimately getting relegated but then getting promoted again is, that's success to me, isn't it? It's proven to be a successful appointment because at the moment, I don't think many people, I think 90% of people would have us going down. Do you think Wilder will have time on the pitch before the Liverpool game? Questionable. I think from what I understand, he's in and around the club at the moment. It's probably the best way to say it. So it won't surprise me if he's already met some of the players. Whether he gets time on the pitch, not entirely sure. Remember Wilder with fans, exciting times, unbelievable. The atmosphere on Wednesday is going to be electric. I personally think Wilder will be a blast of fresh air on that dressing room. Is exactly what we need. Baptism of fire against Liverpool. Alan, it's just what we need, isn't it? Listen, they are going to be so tough, and I'm not going to even joke about us turning Liverpool over, but could we? This will give him a chance to redeem himself, says Bruno, after backdooring last time around. Let's hope he does. Listen, Bruno, I know you were a big supporter of Eki in terms of wanting to be loyal, but I think, and tell me if you feel differently now, pal, and I admire you for that loyal stance, but surely it were untenable after Bournemouth and Burnley. I didn't even think he should have got those games, but I think it got to the point where the board, by not acting sooner, were damaging his reputation when the majority of us recognised that heads were down and we got pasted by Bournemouth. It's cruel. It's not cruel, but it's irresponsible to let him have the Burnley game, knowing that we're on a hiding to nothing, because it affects his reputation. And then more people start calling for him. I don't think that was a plan by any means. I just think Wilder would have given us a fresh impetus against two teams that were huge 6-pointers. Anyway, it's gone now, isn't it? It's on to Liverpool. Sheffield United are a side that don't care about odds, always have been. Need something new, and CW might just be that. Absolutely right. What's old is new again. Wilder gets stick for transfers, but McBurney wasn't even his second choice. Watkins and Maupay were his 1 and 2, got beaten to cash. Absolutely right. That's very true. And Anthony Robinson at Fulham. The other things all these players are is pretty much got us up. Absolutely right. United and Wilder. The Messiah, says Dylan. Starboy back on loan in January. Don't start dangling them sort of carrots at me. Liverpool's going to be great, says Tom, even though we're probably going to get battered. At least we'll turn up. At least we'll give something for shirt, won't we? And it'll be an interesting post-match. We won't be talking about running stats, will we, afterwards, I don't think. Mr. Vorpalsword says, obviously someone needs to kick butt. I am optimistic-esque, but Wilder's last season was the blueprint for this season. The team had already lost the matches before lick-off and just wait to concede. You're right. We'd given up, haven't we, before the game? And Diane Wilder link up. Look, we can't talk about that. Has Christmas come early, Jimmy? It looks like it, yeah. It certainly has in my house. It's the best early Christmas present I could have asked for, if I'm honest. The Messiah, again, says Dylan. Like Wilder's before, Eki's time had come. Like Wilder's before, Eki's time had come. Whatever the thoughts on Chris coming back, we support the club and therefore we support the manager too. Absolutely right. Has it been confirmed? Not yet, Aaron Pal. Not yet. COVID ruined our season, not Wilder. Welcome back, the Messiah. Absolutely buzzing. And so is my lad. Good. I'm pleased. It's just buzzing, isn't it? Got mixed feelings, to be honest, says Gary. They do say he should never go back. We need new owners. The problem that caused Wilder's exit in the first place is still there. Chris Wilder will keep us up this season. People will laugh at me, but I'll be laughing at the end of the season when Wilder proves all his critics wrong. I hope you're right, Jamie. I would love it, mate. Absolutely love it. First order of business is tamper with Billy's birth certificate. I think he was born in 2005. Apparently, him and Willis Hull are at the same age. Evening, Anne. You're absolutely buzzing. I hope Wilder doesn't let you down if you can't motivate this team. I'm sure he can. That's why I'm so optimistic, Anne. But thank you for your concern. Check on me in a few weeks. Instant hero if he gets 3 points against Liverpool. I wasn't for Wilder, but now he's back and behind him, like we all should be. I spoke to a very well-known Sheffield United YouTuber just today, and he said, wasn't sure how we're going to feel when this got announced, but now I'm buzzing. And I think that is the opinion of a lot of people that I'm hearing. That I think Ollie said it as well on Sheffield United way earlier. I caught back end of their show tonight, and he was saying I was a little bit meh when I thought it's going to be Wilder today, and then it's announced, and you start getting that bug back, don't you? You start watching a few games from 1920 season. You start watching a few Wilder interviews. You start humming a few of the songs. Chrissy Wilder and Alan Hill. United plus Wilder equals Chesney and Cook. Sometimes things just fit. Absolutely right, Rich. Hope it works, but have to wait and see. Absolutely, Bill. We do, mate. When do I think he'll be announced? It's looking unlikely, isn't it, at minute, unless it's happened while we've been talking. I'm half an hour behind on your comments like I usually am. So I I cannot help you on that. I'm afraid I'm going to have to speed up, aren't I? Shorty boy, member for 4 months. Not my choice, but we will back him. He's the man to keep us up, says Andrew. Oh, you're right. Gaza agrees with Gary. He's one of our own. He's one of our own. Chrissy Wilder. I'm sorry. I can't keep it in. Any news or any chance regarding Billy Sharp coming in as a player coach? Don't think he's up to Prem level. Has struggled in the Championship last year, but would lead the dressing room. Don't rule it out is all I'd say. Don't rule it out. I'm not saying it'll definitely happen because Jack Lester's still there. And also he would be, 6th, 7th, 8th choice striker for us when everybody's fit. So he doesn't fit in either category, does he really? But he is Mr. Sheffield United also, Billy, isn't he? So Kev says, I'm so excited for Wilder. Let's wish him all the best. Absolutely right. Dear Santa, all I want for Christmas is Cooper and Johansson. I'm actually excited. Just hope we get our boys back. I think we've read that before, haven't we? I'll have your ticket, David Webster. Where do you sit? How much do you want it, or is it free? Let's meet in the clubhouse. Yeah, David, who was upset with everything, Wilder. Come on, you Blades. Wilder will sort this shower out. I hope so. He's the best man to give us some fight, and I'll be together in the fight. Absolutely right, says Michael. Lee, me and the kids are buzzing about this. The Messiah has returned. Hello to you too. Hope you're all right. Have we still got the players that can play the Wilder way, says Gary? Big money has to be spent in January if we had to stand even a sniff of chance of staying up. I agree. I think there's a lot of work to do on this squad. He's going to have to work double hard, isn't he? Double hard. At least we've been the topic of the day on TalkSport and Sky Sports today. Every cloud and all that up the Blades. Well said, Steve. I know you don't always agree with everything I say, mate, and that's what it's about, but always respectful, pal. I appreciate that. Evening, Jimmy. All I can say is we'll be playing proper football the Sheffield United way, or the Blades Ramble way. But yeah, I know what you're saying. Glad Chris Wilder is back at my club and get Billy back as well. Good luck, Eki, in your next job. Prince has to sell up now. He does. I hope, yeah. I think a lot of people are in a similar boat, to be honest. Why are the club not putting the announcement out to stop us all this, tell us officially? Yeah, I know. It's one of them, isn't it? If it's not fully sorted out, they can't put it out, but it's disappointing that it's all leaked before. Listen, we love to know, don't we? Particularly us guys that love to talk about it and love to speak to you lot about it. It's great to be in the know and sort of be able to talk about the news early, but it's not great for people like Eki, who there's not been an official announcement yet and stuff like that. I think we are slow off the mark with stuff like that. Rumour has it, Jimmy, that Eki's got a new job as a PE teacher in Barnsley Primary School. Mark Hudson is the school caretaker. Can you confirm? Very harsh. Very harsh. Shoreham boys, thank you for the donation. Much appreciated, pal. To be fair, Jimmy, good point. Been open-minded about it now. The decisions have been made. Thank you, buddy. Bet Chris Wilder can't believe his luck. Sacked from Borough, let go by Watford, and ends up with a Prem job at his beloved club. Now he's been humbled. I hope he comes back swinging. All very valid points, Rye. But there are other things that we consider as well, aren't there? So, absolutely right. Sorry, I meant Cooper from Plymouth. I know you did, mate. I know you did. Don't you worry about that. Really can't wait for Wednesday night. Manager Bounce coming back. Blades 1-0 Liverpool. Come on, glad Wilder is coming back up the Blades. Up the Blades. We're back. Sheffield United should be growing in the right direction. Going backwards as much as I like Wilder. If we can't get better, then it's time for the lot to go. Easier said than done into getting the whole board out. I know what you're saying, though. Everyone forgets Wilder's the first and foremost one of us. He may want to rebuild his career, but his heart is always with us. Absolutely right. Shoreham boys, gifting a Blades Ramble membership. Thank you, pal. Very much appreciated. Excuse me. Get Illiman back on loan, says Eamon. I think that's wishful thinking, isn't it? Goalkeeper from Rotherham, says Gaza, and a decent centre-back, the priority in January. Absolutely right. I won't mind Joe Worrell, from Forest. I've a couple of Forest lads that we know have ridiculed me for that, but I think he would be somebody that we could potentially take down with us if we have to go down. Jimmy, what do you think about Billy, Jags, and Jack coming in at some point? Maybe longer term, Stu. Maybe longer term if Wilder's still around long term. But none of them have been coaches before, have they? So I think you've got to bleed them in gently, and the old guard's back for now, aren't they? Man Mountain, what's the new song going to be for the players coming out? It's got to be Comeback Kid, hasn't it? It's got to be. Got to be, surely. Kane, Peronis are out. Hair's getting cut. Muppets from Burnley getting told we have our club back. Love it. Love it. McBurney and Baldock out for the Liverpool game. Slimani has to start on Wednesday. Yeah, if Baldock's out because of his injury, who gets the armband? I'm going to do, actually, when we're talking about that, because somebody mentioned that, oh, Jimmy didn't do a preview for Burnley game. I did it as a short because I was that miserable. And obviously I've done this tonight, which is going to be an hour long by the time we wrap up now. So I'll probably do it as another short. The previews don't get loads of traction on any channel. Any sort of match preview doesn't get the most traction. It's more about what's happened at the game and people want to talk about it afterwards. So I'm happy to, if we'll see how it goes. But I might do the Liverpool preview as a short, naming my team and stuff like that. But who would be your captain? Because Georgie Baldock would be my first choice. He's out. Embarrassingly, after the Burnley performance, McBurney's suspended, so he can't be the other captain choice, which you've been touting. Who gets the armband? Trusty? I know some would say Jack Robinson. I'm not hugely sold on that, to be honest. Interesting debate. Jimmy, do you think the announcement will come out at midnight? Has anybody checked if the lights are on at the lane? Maybe. Look, I know there's a few final details being discussed and they may not quite be done by now. It may just drag on a little bit longer, but we are 99.9% there. Come on, Chris, get this club into Europe and show them what Blades are all about. Let's live the dream. Up the Blades, says Craig. I can see him getting rid of a lot of players this window to make money for transfers. Get rid of Bogle, low Fleck for a start. I think you want to get rid of Bogle if you're going to sign Baldock to a new deal. Because I think Bogle comes down to the Championship with us if we're relegated and does a decent job. Is Johansson's contract ending in the summer? Might be wrong. I don't think it is. He signed a new one from what I understand. Might be wrong. Jack deserves the armband. Jackie Robinson. Jackie Long throw for skipper against Liverpool. Ex-Liverpool player, point to prove and always gives 100%, even if at times he's not good enough. There's loads of Robbo shouts. Robbo for captain, Jack Robinson for me. But we think he sticks with Norwood. I'm not convinced. Maybe because it's, you're definitely upsetting a player, aren't you? Taking the armband off him. But yeah, there's a few. Robbo for captain. Right. I am making an executive decision and calling it there, even though we could go on talking about Chrissy Wilder for ages. This will not be the last video on Chris Wilder. Do not worry. I plan on doing a new manager inbox. What is on Chris Wilder's inbox in terms of what he's got to sort out. That will be a ramble coming up in the very near future. So thank you all for your support. It's very much appreciated. But for now, come on, you red and white wizards. Up the Chris Wilder's Blades.
Ramble on! Gustavo Homer into the top corner.